background stuff.
Yeah.
And so what are your earliest sort of recollections? So sort of one of the key moments that we could sort of keep referring back to is fakes, isn't
Yes.
it? And the sort of the riots that happened at the squat there. But it started before then, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we never really had. I think I put in my review or my history that we never really had any good places for. We just had pubs for music in those days, and it was really difficult to get places to play or go and see anything. And everybody was quite jealous of the student scene because they had big acts, and they didn't. You know, I'm talking about the university, Cambridge University, and then. But the big event was, I think we were away probably that weekend when Fakes happened, and I came back and there was this headlines in Fakes, and then we heard about the CVG. I think we were at the housing co-op then when we were living there, and they had a meeting just around the corner that the venue group did, and so we went. It was the second meeting, I remember, and it just sparked our interest.
So did the initial meeting come after the riots, do you think?
Yes.
It did.
Yes. I mean, basically,
No, there'd been some talk before that, hadn't there? Because if you think back to Mecca, and everyone was complaining about not having a venue, and about the coin exchange being closed. So yeah, the CVG didn't exist.
No.
But there was a sort of the beginning of a movement going, this is really daft. Why can't we hire such and such to put on a gig?
So then they had this party in this disused Stakes, and then that's when the council came in and had this meeting, which I again didn't go to. This one where they met all the people who had been organising the party. And then I think out of that is the venue group came. And I do remember when I first met a couple of names. There was Pete Hannon.
Oh, yeah.
He was the chairman then. He disappeared after about a year or something. And the other name was the secretary, Jane Gallienne. Galliano. Gallienne.
That's very formalised, isn't it? So really early on.
Well, they got together and I've got even a constitution here. You'll find a constitution for the CVG about how many members should be at a quorum meeting. Okay. So everything is in here.
And that, I guess, that's because we were living in the co-op.
Yeah.
And everything we were used to do. We'd started to behave in that way, hadn't we? Where you had to have meetings and you had things agreed as a sort of community, rather than someone just take the lead. So it was part of that culture.
Yes.
And even stuff, all the sort of fairs and everything. Again, it was pretty well organised because you had so many people doing a little bit that you had to have this sort of quite regulated process.
There's loads of here, can't really. So, and then we the first thing was that they had to do was the feasibility study, and all the members had to go around, walking around the streets, knocking on doors. A list of addresses had been given to us from the council, and I think they chose every third or every fourth house in a street. And every street was covered, wasn't it, in Cambridge? And I think when they
ran, didn't we?
Yeah, I think when they thought that it will set them this task, I think they thought it would be they won't do it, And we did it. We covered all the streets that they had asked for, and compiled this feasibility study, which I think was Pete Hannon and Jane Galliano typed up. There's great wording in the feasibility study. Maybe you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but somebody's said that they've given it.
And it was given to the council, and this is the one that you saw with the reaction to the officers had their reaction to it, which was very negative. And so we had to do all that and get it done, and then they thought, the council thought, my goodness, we've got to do something else now. And I think the councillors were thinking, what they're saying is good, could be good for the city. So the councillors were supportive. So the officers then said, in in their reaction to it, they wrote, well, you're asking for too much, it's over budget, you can't afford all this, and loads of negatives, which we then rose to the challenge and decided, okay, we'll set up a few committees. And
it was a very sort of paternalistic time then in the council, that they had all these agendas that we weren't supposed to know about, the road plans for Cambridge and about their own plans for the corn exchange, and it was very controlled, the city council. Nothing about the individuals, but that was just the time, that's the moment in history that the council was an authority. And so these people coming out of nowhere saying let's do it differently was really hard for the officers to take. And the councillors got themselves trapped really, because they began to be interested, and then they began to see that there was public interest, and if they were supposed to be representing the public, and if we literally were giving them feedback from 1 in 3 households, what else could they do but start to come on board? And there was lots of wrangling between the officers and the councillors, and the councillors would actually tell us that off the record, that I might agree with you, but there's no point. They're not going to let it through.
Yeah, and especially Tom Ling, maybe that was not so earlier, but and there were all these. I got here we set up working groups within CVG, from membership, outside research, external service, campaign committee, finance, inside research, staffing committee. So all these subcommittees within the CVG, and they were due to report back to the meetings in St Philip's School. All these
incredible.
Yeah, so it was really well organised, and I think the council officers thought, oh, we'll just send them off to do this feasibility study, and then suddenly they realised that they had a big machine up against them, and then I think they realised, oh, maybe we can get our mates some business out of this, and then that's when they realised that they supported it, the officers, council officers. And then, of course, we had to go through all the different hurdles, internal wranglings.
So the council officers came on board thinking, okay, maybe it's better for us to be in, but they really wanted to control it and to change what it was all about.
So that's when you were saying, for instance, that they would say who you'd be commissioning to do research.
So they wouldn't, even though we might have really in-depth knowledge of other venues that were working because we played or put on gigs or done anything,
to visit them,
or knew the people that were running them. No, none of that counts. Might be, whatever the Hammersmith Odeon might be doing this, but no, that doesn't count. We're going to get our mate from O'Varrock to come
and we got to limit the noise. That was the big factor, so as not to annoy the neighbours. And you can understand in a way, because there was they did my old band, one of my old bands, playing on Halloween night at the Alma. Don't know what year it was.
Fantastic.
So it's all very haphazard, I'm afraid. Lots of manual typewritten stuff. And where were we?
But you're saying about manual typewritten stuff. So you've got your typewriter.
Yeah.
You're obviously typing out. It's very busy. But you weren't just doing this, were you? You're volunteering on this whilst, what else?
We had full-time work.
So there's a press release.
Oh, yeah.
From me pretending to be grown up.
Yeah.
Release. So we were both, you were working.
Yeah, I was working and having to travel away. I can't believe it. I was working full-time, often away, because I was at that time I was installing computers into businesses, worked for business software company, and then coming back doing the meetings, and I was also playing music and playing sport. I was in a rugby team and a cricket team in the summer. I can't believe, and drinking and partying in the weekends and night time even.
And so I was running a record shop and managing a number of bands and getting gigs for people wherever.
What record shop?
Our Price. So that's when Our Price first opened in Cambridge, and at Bridge Street, was it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then in the Grafton.
Yeah, and we lived in the Grafton.
Yeah. So, what were you talking about?
I don't know. So just really how there was this.
Lots of challenges.
Lots of challenges, and this was, I think all of this could easily be forgotten because the people, here we are waxing lyrical about it, but it's not something that you talk about to anybody normally. It all sounds so big, and none of us are particularly glory seeking, and the people that you've spoken to haven't actually said to you, do you know what, Paul, Kathy, you, Pete Hannon, Nick Welsh, do you remember Nick Welsh?
Yes, and he worked at the Junction.
Gail.
Yeah.
None of them would actually put their hands up and say it wouldn't have happened, but it wouldn't have happened without them.
Yeah.
And
Us.
and then this group, this energy and interest, most of it without any other agenda. There were. What was difficult for us was managing those that did have lots of other
internal
agendas.
wranglings,
But most of it was without any agenda. And then eventually, once we got enough, we got Bob Satchwell from the Evening News on board.
I can't remember the name.
And he was supportive, and he sort of helped us navigate some of the politics.
Yeah. And then when the council decided they'd go for it, they appointed Eric Orme as the development officer.
Who lived on the Heron.
Who lived on a boathouse on the Cam, and we went there a few times, didn't we? And was a real character and very supportive. And like I said in my write-up, the sort of link between the CVG and the council, which we were happy because we didn't have to go to all these heavy meetings. I mean, we went to a few steering group meetings and that, but not have to argue with them. We could go through him, and then we could relax and develop the plan for the venue. But even he faced a few challenges. But he helped to organise all these like the Comedy Underground events, and we had 2 seasons of those, and some really up-and-coming then comedians. There's Punt and Dennis, who are on Radio 4. They tour a lot. They do the Now Show on Radio 4, and Jack D, and who else? Steve Coogan, who's a megastar now. He came, didn't he? And Arthur Brown, I remember, actually, I'd forgotten him, Dave. But when the Junction opened, we went to see Jeremy Hardy, which was a brilliant evening. So, and these are the sort of things that we wanted to have.
I mean, we're just begging favours.
Yeah.
These people, because they were still, that was like the Comedy Underground was only just beginning, so they were cheap.
Yes.
But we'd have to beg to get them on coaches to get them up to Cambridge.
But they enjoyed it. And I always remember this comedian, I can't remember his name, who stripped on stage, stuck a firework between his bum cheeks and lit it, and was strutting around the stage like a chicken. It's hilarious. I can't remember his name.
Oh, don't worry about health and safety here.
No, that's hilarious.
I've just come across these minutes, which just sums up some of the pressure of it. This is obviously a meeting. So this is 1986, a meeting with some councillors. And this, the whole... This,
he was. This was
all of the different factions here. We've actually minuted, which shows how naive we were. Who said exactly what. Yeah. And there were different locations being put forward. We were talking about charitable trust and things like this. We were very sensibly saying what the pros and cons of different locations. This brought it back. So Demi pipes up and talks about Midsummer Common, because obviously Strawberry Fair was still part of this whole, everyone had the same interests. The councillors are saying it's rubbish. I pipe up and say, why are the council being so slow in coming around to the idea of a permanent successful venue, given the amount of energy, skill and enthusiasm obviously available? And Richard Smith, councillor, replies, we've got lots of past experience, for example, the Arbory Adventure Playground.
And this is what we're up against. I didn't realise. Yeah.
Tell me about the other meeting that you were just talking about that was at the school. When's that? Is that before Eric comes on board?
This was after Eric was on board. In fact, I think Eric I got it somewhere the time he arranged it, and he set it up, I think, and it was a meeting between the CVG and steering group, basically, and sort of
And public,
and the local residents.
Yeah.
And then we did our presentation, and Eric stood up and said what was going to be planned, and we took some questions, and then in response, the chairman of the Cherry Hinton Road Residents Association stood up, and he had written his speech, and he said, "We object to this venue plan because we're worried that gangs of Hell's Angels will be leaving the venue at 1 o'clock in the morning, revving their motorcycles, driving around drunk, and they'll be breaking the law. And also we object to it because we don't want yobs relieving themselves in our front gardens." And then it got more and more crescendo, and we were looking at each other, and then he said, "And then we all remember the days of the Cambridge rapist," and let the words hang in the air, and we were like stunned, and we thought, "No, this is."
And we'd stood up politely talking about an arts venue for young and old and children.
Yeah, and of course the residents were staring at us because we were at the front. And they were staring us down, and we felt, is it worth it?
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. It was horrible.
No, I can laugh about it now, but because it didn't work. What they said. But.
And so was that specifically about this venue site?
Yes, it was. Yes, exactly.
Because this began to be the favourite site.
Yeah. And it was planned that there would be building here, and so this was about that. And you can see here there's lots of objections in written here from the local residents, and indeed the businesses that were here. They said we're worried about the people coming out, basically because the business plan depended on the bar, and they all knew that. They'd seen the business plan, and to survive, which every social place does really. And they were worried about people just getting drunk and smashing up their offices and businesses. So this is what we were up against, as well as internal wranglings, like the vagabond situation, and then external as well, with obviously the council officers and the residents.
Can you tell me a bit more about the vagabond situation?
Yeah, vagabond tried to infiltrate the CVG, and they actually started off with us.
And there were those that believed in this creation, and there were those that wanted to get something out of it. And vagabond, rather, I would suggest, was in the second lot.
Yeah, and I think what happened was Jane Gallienne, who was quite, was with the CVG early on, right from the beginning, to be honest, and she left after a while and joined Vagabond, and they had found this old warehouse, this disused warehouse, in the Coldens Lane industrial estate, and they proposed that that the venue should go there, and they put it through to us, and then it sort of escalated, and they came up with their own proposal, hijacking loads of CVG work, as you can see, and the feasibility study.
Missing the politics that I guess we were learning at the time. That you had to play along with people to get anywhere.
And they wanted to own and run the venue and get funding for it. They've even got the full-time staff by Community Warehouse. They got the proposals there. So
you think some of them were quite intimidating as well.
Yeah, they were. Yes, and they were Vagabond were a collective who were supposedly putting on theatrical shows for children at schools, but we never saw any of those. But this is what they said they were, and they were doing, and they were living in this squat. So I don't know, 30 or 40 of them in this squat.
Not everybody, yeah.
No,
so
not
there were
everybody
lots of
lived
people in
there,
the squad, but not everybody was involved in this.
And so that they were there, and they had this head honcho called Click, who I knew from when he was a kid, and when he was 9, I think, 8 or 9. So.
And he became a bit
So
of a tough guy.
They sort of infiltrated. A lot of them became members of the CVG because it was very easy. You paid £1 and then you were a member. And
and of course, and they were a bit more. They were a bit more like, let's burn down the place after the party.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
They were more
rebel.
Yeah,
and they came to this meeting. This one meeting to vote that we voted on should we go for their proposal or not, and which was the Coldham's Lane option, and we had to pack out, and if they won it then they would have taken it in a different direction.
And so where was that?
That was in St Philip's School, I think. I can't remember exactly.
And that, as I've mentioned before, but I think it's really important, is this all sounds so silly unless you remember what the 80s were like, and unless you remember that licensing laws were different, television wasn't on full time, communication was different, there were the miners' strikes, there was all sorts of,
it was real rebellious times.
Rock Against Racism and Medwedge and everything. It was a very activist period in time. So looking back at this, it all sounds a bit silly with these different little factions and everything, but it was just part of the world then, that you needed a badge that said.
And this is here it says we're
of.
discussing August 86, the relationship between CVG Vagabond and other groups, and this is the minutes from that meeting really, and so we had all this struggle initially, and then we got the nod from the council, and they appointed Eric
on a short term. Because again, they still didn't think it was going to happen, and they didn't think that Eric would stay on his pittance of a salary.
He was fantastic,
and he did. And then we got an extension for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
I've forgotten about that.
And then just began to get a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the paper, Bob Satchwell and the Cambridge News, were good because although they hijacked it a little and turned it into this place for the young and town against gown type thing, at least they knew that was the politic way to get people interested.
Do you know what I think was a thing as well, a sort of step up, was when they had the rave in Fife's warehouse. Do you remember that?
Fife's? Oh,
Fife's warehouse. And there was this is quite well into the campaign, and there wasn't anything.
That was like Vietnam, wasn't it?
It was, and there was. And the police came, but they held off, and they
were
obviously
trying to get the gear out.
Yeah, and they obviously were holding back because they didn't want a repeat of Bates, and so they were holding out, and they were driving up and down the Hills Road Bridge, surveying, waiting for something to happen.
So where's that?
This is in Fifes, which
that
is
just
on the other side of the
Hills
Road Bridge, by the railway, on sort of exactly opposite. And after the Fifes warehouse event, the Guildhall said you can have the council said you can have the Guildhall to do legal raves.
Yeah.
And we had a whole series of we had a whole series.
And that was
Paul Darkey,
Paul and everybody.
Yeah.
That was where we started
Yeah.
to be able, not that anyone had done anything illegal, but that was where things started to be.
And so we charged and got people come in. I think they didn't have a bar in there, but nobody was into getting drunk then. they were into acid house music and whatever. And so they were quite successful.
They were really good, and we got a lot of money. And again, that then became too big to stop.
Yeah.
And Cambridge then started to have a little bit of a name in the rave scene.
Yeah. So and then the venue opened eventually. So but that Fife's warehouse was not as rebellious as Fakes, but I'm sure the police were very worried and went to the council and said, please do something, otherwise this will repeat itself. And there were, we had a tent at the Strawberry Fair, didn't we? Was that a rave tent or is it a band tent?
I never did a rave.
Rave tent, I think.
Yeah.
And then there were parties after that. So it was a real thriving scene that was going on, but just really underground.
And country raves that nobody ever knew about.
Yeah. Yes, in Oakington and Cottenham. Yeah, everybody.
And they obviously didn't cause that much trouble. There's nobody ever.
No, please, you need to. Because I know you need to go, don't you? Sue?
No, I'm not going.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, I'm still on Polish time.
I know, I did see that and double clicked when I saw that.
I'm on Polish time. I
worked
don't
that
bother
out.
when I just come back for the weekend. I don't bother to eat, but it does fool me.
Yeah, no, I did catch that out of the corner of my eye and check on here,
Okay.
but that wasn't the time.
So, and then what next?
So then we started to get staff, didn't we? So then we got John.
Yeah, yes, and then you did the interviews, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because then Lyn had moved into recruitment.
Yeah.
You'd moved to the recruitment, so she
I
had
recruited
expertise
a lot of
in recruiting.
people.
Yeah.
And then
Did
I also
you-
set up systems. I came in with, firstly at Mandela House, and then here, just writing manuals and everything. We wrote the
Yeah.
operations manual for here, just because there was nothing else. But we did. It's quite amazing.
And did you? Because Paul Bogan, did you interview Paul Bogan?
Yeah.
Paul Bogan, who was at my old school, a couple of years younger than me, and I was very happy when I saw it was him. And he had fantastic background. He'd done like arts at
he
his
was
college,
amazing.
and he was. He lasted 17 years, I think. So he was obviously so well qualified.
And he added more to the vision.
He just came on board and realised what this multi-purpose venue was required. So he set up a whole series of. I think I've got a draft of the first. Maybe I'll have to double check it. But the first the first few weeks festival.
Oh wow!
This is an audience survey. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So
And just that
somewhere
he
here
had
there
that
was-
determination
Yeah,
that
he
some
was
of
very-
us had had,
and he was
where
very cool.
we are going to
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
somehow. We don't know how, and it keeps changing.
And he did things like set up youth theatres.
Yeah, he brought in a whole
yeah.
different sort of scheme.
And we had loads of management meetings, members meetings. We had loads of meetings of the management committees
then
and
we were
that.
supporting the drama centre as well.
Yeah.
The drama centre we sort of took under. Oh, that sounds rude. Didn't have to take it under our wing, but wherever we could support it, and vice versa, and working with hoi polloi and with that sort of the theatrical side. That wouldn't have happened without Paul, because he knew about theatre and drama.
Yeah.
We knew about music.
And you were saying that Lyn, about how the Junction was much more than just here before you
Yeah,
said
that whole. It wouldn't have got so. What the guys that you were talking to who worked here, they remember the struggles of being employed and working here. But before that, there was all of this, which, to be honest, it was easy sailing once we had a venue in my mind. But they're not to know that.
And Eric on board as well.
Eric.
Yeah.
And there were people from so many different sort of aspects of Cambridge that had an interest in this, that had an interest in giving this very creative and interesting and unique place something that reflected that, rather than a pub or a council-run venue, or an arts theatre for people aged 60 plus.
Do you remember the competition for the name? Because you know the sort of background about that. But all the names that were suggested from the Cambridge Evening News readers were something like the Cherry Trees, like a pub name, and then the one was Cherry Hinton Road Youth Centre. And we were wanting something, catchy and trendy, and then not one came in. That was in Norwich.
And so there was a competition put out for the name.
Yeah, and I don't want to
Young
record.
person,
Yeah.
young
Someone
person
that we
yeah.
happened to know of came up with a really good name.
Yes, indeed.
And so I've seen press cuttings of her with a big.
Yes,
She won a big
Yeah.
ghetto blaster. That's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think did we award that too? I can't remember. I think we were
No.
here. I remember being here.
Eric did at the sponsors shop because it was in, I think, Curry's. Curry's
Right,
provided it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think we came along as her sort of supervisors. She was only, what would she be? About
She was
7.
Yeah, she was 7.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah.
Oh, Gigi.
And that was a name you're all happy with.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thankfully.
So there's loads. I'm trying to find a draft for the first festival, but Paul Bogan had created this festival which lasted a month, I think, 4 weeks worth of bands and workshops and theatre and comedy shows, and he came on and took it straight away like that and was great, and he managed to, and then John Rowe got appointed administrator, but I think he struggled a bit, and so after about 6 months or a year, it was decided that he would step back, and because Paul needed some real experienced people, some people who were trained in all what he wanted, to achieve. So I think he took on even 2 people to fill John's role.
And it was becoming more of a business then.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you couldn't have the sort of council mentality, not that John did, but you couldn't have I'll just turn up and do my hours. You had to think, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make the bar make more? How are we going to change the box office? How are we going to do this?
I'm not sure when we arranged it, but Charles Wells had the franchise for Red Stripe in those days, and I knew Paul Wells, who was, I think, great grandson of Charles Wells.
Yeah.
And I think I made the
huge,
call.
That made such a difference
Exactly.
to the bar, didn't it? We were the first to sell Red Stripe in Cambridge.
Yes, yeah. They had the Red Stripe bar.
Yeah, I think we were in Cambridge.
And they had just done, Charles Wells had just done the deal with Red Stripe, and I knew Paul Wells through some old mates, and through Adam and them, and Eddie and Nick, and so I gave him a call and said, there's this possibility, and
then they gave us money, and they gave us a big sign and everything.
Whoever was looking for the money, even Paul, just dealt directly with one of Paul Bogan was dealing directly with one of Paul Wells's managers, and it was all done just like that.
And
brilliant.
It was Red Stripe, because Red Stripe were wanting to make Red Stripe cool and useful. We needed money and some sort of attraction. And the idea of that was probably our first night, wasn't it? That was the first illuminated Red Stripe bar. Yeah. Wow.
So you were both still really involved. Where are we up to in our time?
This was I think 90, 91, and then.
So we've really not. I think I backed out. When did you go to Poland?
I moved there in mid-93.
Okay, so I think...
that's when I finished, just about a month before I
was probably involved up to about 2000,
actually. You were. Lyn was there, much longer.
And always volunteering your time.
Incredible.
I know.
Incredible. You need, I don't know what.
I know where I'm thinking. I'm thinking what.
That is you.
Incredible.
I know.
Yeah, it's a nice.
Well, I was 7 years on it, but Lyn was.
17, something like
15,
that. Yeah.
15, 14.
So what was your role then up to then? How are you?
So all sorts of different things. So I was on the board.
Management. There was a management board which met, I think, monthly.
And then I was like a sort of consultant to Paul to help him, so like his sort of mentor. Then I came in when we couldn't afford anyone to do marketing. I came in and did marketing.
Here we are. Look. Membership board.
Then I became chair.
The two councillors, Tom Ling and Graham Edwards, they were so supportive. And then Lyn and me Stuart Sarson, I can't remember him. Maybe he's that guy. And then business director Andy Holmes.
Andy
Holmes
was
he was very he was director of Laserpoint.
Yeah.
And he was really supportive of
And he was
of it.
proper business.
And, he was business guy, and he had Laserpoint, which was on the Clifton Industrial. It was here.
Yeah.
And he was just really, and he helped a lot with the business.
Yeah.
And
he, Paul, and me, to be honest, at that time, were somehow making it stay afloat. You know, there were so many times when if you read the books one way, you wouldn't want to read them that way, and we just had to think, how are we going to do this?
This report: the Junction is grossly understaffed in the administration area. The director, Paul, and business manager, I think was that Nick? Again, someone cover the roles of programmer, general manager, business manager, purchase level, and accounts clerk. The original secretary is acting as the administrative assistant. Is currently taking a course in accounting. So this was early days,
and we turn up to full pints when there was no staff.
Yeah. And so this is like the review of, I don't know, this must be the second year. And it's good because they did surveys. And you probably got these all in the archives of the Junction, or maybe it's a long time ago. But
we wherever we could make a little bit up the Junction, and we'd just be looking for commercial strands that could bring in hundreds of pounds, because it was that tight.
I don't want to give any. I've tried not to give any figures, but it's just that to show that the financially it was increasing turnover from 459,000 in the first year to 590 in the second year, and so it was. They were developing it really well, but they needed more investment.
And we had, because the building had been built so rubbish, we were having, a minute we earned anything, the toilets would be broken.
Just having,
so it was just rushing out quicker than
This
coming
is
in.
Indie discos are the most popular, followed by raves, gay nights, and funk discos. Group discos are most poorly attended.
That's just brilliant. I've got to do a little thing about that. That's just brilliant. And when's this? 1991? 92. Indie, rave, gay, funk, pop, and roots.
So there they are, the different discos.
And that was because of the council, because we were seen as competitive to the council provision at those times. And so they'd say, well, we need to do this analysis, and you need to do it. Oh, okay, you need to break it down into these segments. And but we would obediently do it.
79% of all attenders were 15 to 25, the target group of the Junction. And 47% lived within Cambridge City, 72% lived in the county. So, yeah. So then it developed, and then of course clubbing started in the 90s, and it was just made for it, wasn't it?
Oh,
Imagine if it wasn't here, and it'd have to be, I don't know, they'd be having illegal clubs.
We started to get a later licence and things like that, and we did two. Oh my God! When we were trying to make money, we used to do two things. We used to do a gig and then a rave afterwards.
Yeah.
God knows how we did that. God knows. Wow. So we'd get one audience out, reskin the auditorium, and get another audience in.
And like a footnote of that is that my first club night in Warsaw was done by the Clueless system, who played at Junction. And
Clueless was a big club here.
Yeah, in the 90s. So in 95, they all jumped in a bus from Cambridge, loads of hangings and everything, and decorations that they use for club nights here. And they drove via Amsterdam, picked up a couple of DJs there in a bus. This was in the days before internet, before mobile phones even. I was sitting in Warsaw. I'd sort of arranged through fax for them to come through. And then I was waiting, sitting at the venue, waiting for them to come into. That was Louise.
Yeah.
Louise.
And who was the guy that used to?
Trevor Smith.
Trevor. That's right.
Louise and Trevor.
Yeah.
And they came out, and just when I'd given up, they turned up and gave a fantastic. I think it shocked all the locals, where they gave a fantastic night, and they decorated the venue amazingly. And not chill out and dance floor, and it was great music. I think it was a bit modern for them. And then they all jumped back in the bus and drove home, drove back to Cambridge. Except Trevor, who stayed for about a month. He said, "I'm not going back. I want to see how it is here." And this was in July '95. And so that was like a footnote. So I sort of kept in touch with the scene via them for a while. But that's why I wanted to show, in Warsaw, that this is what is possible.
And you did that, didn't you?
Yeah,
I mean, Warsaw now has a scene that wouldn't have happened without this.
Yeah, yes, I introduced that clubbing to Poland, to be honest. And I mean, there were little things. So, and with the Clueless system, so.
That's fantastic. Are you still involved in that now?
No, I had to give that up because I had a brain operation in December 2008, and had to spend two years recovering from that. And I'm sort of retired from it now. And looking back, I'm really glad I've retired, because I'm old, and no, I'm not doing that anymore.
You've played your role.
Yeah, I've done my thing, and it's nice to look back.
I think when you look back, yeah.
What you're doing is fantastic. It's really given me an opportunity to look back and remember what we did and how important it was.
I've never tried to quantify it before.
No,
and then
exactly.
when you suddenly look at this, you think,
and
it's absolutely amazing.
But this is, and I know that the Junction is much more than this background, but this was what we were involved with. Well, and Lyn was, in the first 10 years of its existence. But it's great that you're coordinating it, and so well done.
It's wonderful to do. It's a privilege to do it.
Yeah,
and it's just really heartening, I think, as well. When we're involved in so much action now, and trying to provoke action, and trying to bring about change.
It's great.
And we still have it as a symbol of activism,
Yeah.
not aggressive, and that was some of the stuff that we had to manage, that some people were just letting out anger. But people can make things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of cooperative, collaborative, again, it was all just timing. I've always been very lucky that you just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and we were the whole living in a co-op, having that sort of feeling, being musicians and begging and borrowing, it wouldn't have happened without that whole feeling. Right. Yeah. And that I don't ever want to change. I want the world to always have that.
I think what was good is that we were also a little bit different, and I was I mean, in the sense that we had experience, and I was working for a company that installed business software into companies, so I knew about profit and losses and itineraries, stock text and
some of the grown-up stuff.
Yeah, so that makes.
And I think
with
me, I don't mean to blow my trumpet, but with me having come from somewhere different, and with it just not occurring to me that, what do you mean you can't just put a gig on in that part? It just didn't occur to me. Not because I'm clever or anything, but just because I'd happened to be born in somewhere it was all happening around me.
So where was
coming
that?
from me. So Bromley, I was. Punk happened around me, and I was a very early punk, and by the time I got here,
I was indeed one of the first Bromley crew. I suppose she's from Bromley, and all the Sid Vicious and all those people and X-Ray Specs. Your first boyfriend was a guitarist in X-Ray Specs, and
and we just
Susie and the Banshees,
and it just wouldn't have. It never occurred to me that you couldn't make something happen
So
And I think
you brought
I
your
brought a
punk
bit of that
philosophy.
energy.
Yeah.
And when everyone was getting tied up in knots, I think I had a little bit of that energy.
And you were living together then as well, weren't you? But here, when you were working.
Hello, my darling.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes, yeah.
yes. We
Hello. I am okay.
unfortunately
Let me
we
change
split
this
up
colour
in
and then I'll give you a call.
'92.
What time
But
are you having
as you
toast
see,
on,
we after a while we
Pardon?
maintain friendly relations.
Oh, fabulous.
And but yeah, we were living together for all that time.
Okay.
First housing co-op, then Great Eastern Street, and then Chesterton Road.
Thank you. Bye.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And like Lyn says, when she flagged, I moved in, and
Yeah.
when I'd had enough, I flagged, she took over, and it was. But there were many times when we were both doing at the same time. And you know, my work, it was difficult to because I was away at times, and it was a full day, and I was playing in bands and playing sport. I can't believe, and partying. Can't believe how I'm looking back. I'm amazed I survived.
And we were taking you play in London and everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we take bands down.
Yeah.
What bands were you?
Oh, the Blind Lemons was the first one, and then Cruel Thumpers was the second one, and then Kick in the early '90s with Paul Folsham,
And then
Ralph
I was
and Jim.
managing Colonel Hathey
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a while, and all of them.
Yeah.
Were you? I didn't realise
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great to remember these, and like I say, I don't know if you want these,
I'd like to scan them, so yeah.
but I would be very
Can we put your name on
appreciative
them?
if you could keep them and I could have them back. Maybe
Yeah, I
you
could
can
pick
give
them
them
up
back
if
to
you
Lyn.
want and
course.
hold them.
As
Or I
this-
could chuck them back to your dad's when I get them back.
Yeah, well, but get them back to Lyn because I'll be more happy. There's so much in there, and I really think you should
it's
be.
fabulous.
I think
And just
it's
those
too much
little,
to go through.
that odd sentence that you read, and you think, oh, that suddenly dates it again, doesn't it?
Yes.
When
Yeah.
someone says,
Yeah.
we remember Arbury Playground.
Yes. Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And look, Oliver Merrington of the Cambridge Lesbian Gay Group attended the meeting, and discussed the possible use of the venue for events for this organisation.
Oh, you see, and that
even in
again,
those
we
days,
were,
yeah.
and that was, that would have had all the residents up and
Yes,
running. And
yeah.
what do you mean, gay people
Yeah.
in Cambridge?
So we were saying, we're a venue for what you want to do there.
Wow, incredible. Oh my goodness, I've got so much to read. It's wonderful.
And I'll keep.
There are some minutes where we couldn't type right, and that's Lyn wrote out by hand.
Yeah, loads of minutes are handwritten, aren't they?
And so I think John joined in about 87 or 88. John Rowe.
And Jonathan Goodacre as well. He was employed before.
I think he with Paul started, didn't he?
He started just
remember.
after, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, 87. John Rowe's on the list, and Nick Welsh is here on the list.
I must talk to Nick as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, just as I've been
this is when
talking.
Eric joined in September '87. Eric Orme introduced himself to the meeting and gave us a brief summary of his previous experience in fundraising and administration in Birmingham and Northampton. So this is the time that Eric Orme joined, September.
September 87.
Yeah, September '87. City architect presented his drawings of the venue, showing plan. Okay, so at the interior and
And
exterior.
there's David Graham and Mark Russell and everybody in there
Yeah.
then.
Pim, I don't know who Pim is.
Pim, I remember that. I think that was part of the clip sort of
Yeah.
going, wasn't it?
Tom Ling, and David Chance. He was an officer, I think. Gail Thompson.
Yeah.
Demi, me, you, Nanette Newman. This is Nanette, who I'm sure is the Nanette somebody who posted on the.
And I know
Facebook
that name
page.
from 90s Cambridge. I'm sure I do from work.
And of
Of
course,
course.
I'd forgotten about Gail, but she was such a support.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And Gail was this sort of very gentle sort of tapestry between everything.
Yeah. Yes, she was really gentle, pushing and linking. Yeah, it was very good.
How wonderful.
There will be a benefit gig for CVG on April the 23rd. The Cambridge-based band Hondo will top the bill. And I remember Hondo, there's some minutes later on where we gratefully received a cheque for £1,000 from Hondo and Jetstar. And we thought, great. And then later on, a few months later, the cheque from Hondo and Jetstar Records has bounced.
Oh, God.
And we're not sure.
That's funny. That's Neil, isn't it, from Hondo? Is that right?
I don't know, actually. I remember,
I think it was Neil, because I saw him the other day. I know him, and I said, And
in fact, I think
I said, I'll come and talk to him.
Isn't that
him there?
Pictured on there?
It could well be.
I think that's him. From
Shit, I remember now,
I'm sure that's him. Well, that's the singer in Hondo, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Maybe I'm
Jetstar.
No, I can't.
So we
I think it
after us, we had this indie section. So we started to
Liaise
stock
with
all
him.
of the indie labels. How funny.
So.
I'm not sure if Neil was the lead. Was the singer. That's what I was trying. That's why I was pausing.
Yeah, okay.
I think he was in Hondo, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
If he was the
there
singer.
were a whole.
Yeah.
So.
I've just sometimes I'm just thinking about it all. I just think there are so many different ways into it. There's the energy, and then there's action, whether that's working here or doing something, and then there's support and attendance. And I just think all of that's what the Junction is about. That there's all these different levels of interaction. And it wouldn't stand without that, and I don't want it to get too sensible and grown up. And I hope that they still allow for a bit of the energy and action, and the things that sound ridiculous, the things that just sound impossible, you've got to let happen here.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Anyway.
Thank you.